Hello, you're joined by me, Andy Wakefield, and
Katie Aldred.
we're currently walking on a very fine day through what's regarded as the finest walk in the world. We're on the Milford Track, deep in the heart of Fiordlands National Park, which is in the southwest corner of the South Island in New Zealand. And it's a glorious day. We're walking through a beech tree forest, scuffing our feet through the little tiny beech leaves that are on the floor. We've come across a sign. What does it say? Milford Track, Clinton Hut, 2 minutes. Okay, we're 2 minutes from our hut on the first night. We got a boat at 2 o'clock all the way across Lake Tairnau. We were rewarded with wonderful views of the glacial sort of cut landscape, the huge mountains on each side of the lake, snow-capped in places, and we landed at the bay, Glade Wharf, and we've been walking through this forest for the last, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours. And it's a nice leisurely walk, but we can't stop for too long because we get bitten by the notorious sand flies, tiny little buggers that bite you whenever you stop. But they can't fly as fast as you, so as long as you keep walking, you'll be okay. Over the next 4 days, we're going to be walking along this Milford Track all the way up to Sandfly Point. I'm not really looking forward to that, well, ominously named place. From there, we'll get a boat over to Milford Sound. You're going to join us over the next 4 days. Hope you enjoy the journey as much as we do. Catch up with you later.
So you join me on Monday morning. It's very, very cold. It's past 7 o'clock. I had a very sleepless night. The guy next to me woke me up about 20 minutes ago by grunting in his sleep. I'm not sure what he was thinking about. I'm not sure I want to know. But I made my way outside along the boardwalk from the main hut area. I'm now standing on the helipad in the middle of the wetlands down in this great big Clinton Valley, and it's very, very cold, mainly because the sun hasn't reached down into the valley. The valley is completely surrounded by mountains. Most of those mountains have got snow on the top of them as well. It's quite an amazing sight. And as I look over to the west, just the top little bits of those mountains over there starting to catch the sun as it rises up from the east. And from all accounts, it's going to be a very lovely day. We've got blue skies all around. The sun looks like it's quite warm. Well, it looks like it's warm up on those mountains. It's definitely not down here in the wetlands. And as I look around down here, it's quite a strange sight. I'm completely surrounded by wetland plants. We've got celery pine and something called bog pine as well. But as you look further out, this wetland is starting to be encroached by the beech trees. There's like an army of beech trees. They're a bit different from those beech trees that we get at home. These ones have got very, very small leaves, and the branches are actually lots of the branches are covered with a light lime green moss called old man's beard. And together these beech trees and the moss, they're kind of invading this wetland landscape. They're like an army of trees shrouded in the morning mist. It's quite a cool sight. And actually, part of that mist is being made up by the warden's hut. It looks like he's having a fire over there. Yeah, that looks pretty good, especially when my hands and my nose are very cold out here in the morning. But as I say, we've got a 6-hour walk to do. There's about 30 people on the trip. So as we walk, I suppose we'll be passing one another. There's a whole group of Israelis here. There's a guy from the Czech Republic, a couple of Canadians. There's even a girl from Exeter. There's people from all over the world come to do this walk. So hopefully it will live up to its expectation of being the finest walk in the world, and hope we'll get to walk all of it. There is a chance that later on today we'll have to get a short helicopter ride past an avalanche risk zone. It does sound cool, but it also is going to cost us a lot of money that we don't have. And we do actually quite want to do the walk. So hopefully that won't happen, and we'll get to take our time on the track itself.
Welcome back. You join us as we are walking in the middle of a ginormous U-shaped valley. This place was obviously cut away millions of years ago by the glaciers that used to sort of run through here. And right now we're having to walk non-stop, not just because of the little bugger sandflies that will get us if we do stop, but also because there are hazard warning signs all over the place. This is a very avalanche prone area. So we're carrying on walking until we get to a safe zone. But as we walk, kind of looking all around us, there's these huge steep-sided cliffs, and all over the place there's water pouring off, great big waterfalls trickling down the sides of these cliffs. And that's all the meltwater from all of the snow at the top. Earlier on, just before we came out of the beech forest, we heard a deep rumbling sound in the distance, There was obviously a great amount of snow that just avalanched off the side of one of these cliff faces, and yeah, it's quite an amazing place. We're just passing loads of ferns as we go. There's trees hanging on for dear life on the side of these valleys. Up above us is absolute clear blue sky. There's not one cloud up there in the sky. Really, really amazing day. I can only imagine how much water would pour off the sides of these cliffs if it were raining. It'd be pretty dramatic. In fact, it does feel quite sort of prehistoric walking through here. We had some Kias, the alpine parrots, flying over earlier on, squawking. It was a bit sort of, I want to say reminiscent, but I wasn't there. It was sort of provoked images of dinosaurs, pterodactyls flying through the sky, very Jurassic Park-esque. Kind of got the theme tune going around in my head now. But we're going to carry on our walk. We're probably about halfway to Mintaro Hut, a place where we're going to stay tonight. And that's just before we get to McKinnon Pass. That's apparently where the really good views are, all around this part of the Fiordlands National Park. So we might dump our bags at the hut, go for a little walk up to the top, because I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so we want to catch the views while we can. So yeah, see you later on.
Hello and welcome to day 3 of the Milford Track. The time is about 10 o'clock in the morning, and we have just scrambled the hour and a half up the mountainside to reach McKinnon Monument, where we have a monument dedicated to Quentin McKinnon, who was the first guy to walk the Milford Track over 100 years ago. Up here we are pretty high, one of the highest, or nearly the highest point of the whole walk, and we are surrounded on all sides by looming snow-capped mountains, which are absolutely stunning. Below us we have a sea of cloud, which is just about starting to dissipate now that the wind has picked up and is being thrown over the edge of the mountains. It is, however, blocking our view of the valley floor, which isn't so much of a problem because we did this walk last night. We were about an hour and a half away from our hut. So yesterday we dumped our bags, jumped into a freezing cold glacial pool to give us a regenerating boost and the energy we needed before we trekked up here to take some pictures when the scenery was free of cloud. So it was really good to be able to do this in both conditions. Last night we stayed at Mintaro Hut, which was a beautiful little place cut into the valley, gave us lovely views of the mountainside, and also pretty cool views of the many avalanches that went off last night. Luckily enough we were quite far away, so we didn't get covered by them, but it is quite warm. The sun is out, so the snow is melting, and every now and then you just do hear this colossal rumble. And then if you're lucky enough, you can see the snow just tumbling off the mountainside. So anyway, we are going to continue today along McKinnon Ridge, and then I believe we are going to start to head back down the valley, and then from then on I think it's a pretty easy and steady walk.
So I'm having to take a bit of care at the moment as I talk to you. I'm currently clambering over some moss-clad slippery rocks. The reason why they're so slippery is because today it is raining. We've got our first day of rain. It'd be probably near impossible to do 4 days of walking through the middle of the Fiordlands National Park without getting rained on at all. So 3 out of 4 days sunshine, I reckon that's pretty good. And to be honest, today it doesn't really matter that it's raining so much, because we're walking through the middle of the forest again. We're back in these kind of beech tree, fern-clad forests as we do 18 kilometres along the banks of the Arthur River towards Sandfly Point, and that's where we're going to get our boat at 2 o'clock, and it will take us up to Milford Sound and complete our journey. Since we last updated you yesterday, we left those big monumentous mountains that you could see from the McKinnon Pass, and we came down the emergency track. This is a really steep zigzagging path that only occasionally gets used to get you off the McKinnon Pass and down into the valley floor, and we basically had to use that because of the avalanche risk further around the normal track. And then that path took us all the way down into the valley, and last night we spent the night at Dumpling Hut. That was our final hut, final one of 3 huts that we've stayed in. And it was very nice. There's loads of weckers, little sort of chicken-like forest birds running around, and sort of screeching keers as well. Keers aren't my best friends because the other night they decided to swoop down to the hut in the middle of the night and eat the back of my boots. They're not my best friends, nor are the sandflies, which I've already mentioned. But I have yet to be stung by the tree nettle, another one of these wildlife beasties out to get us and to rid us from this forest. The tree nettle is a bit like the stinging nettle we get back at home, but it looks savage. If you got a nettle as like an evil bad guy in a video game, in a computer game, the tree nettle that you get here would be like the ultimate boss at the end of the level. It's got these massive spines all over it. Apparently 3 of these spines are enough to kill a guinea pig. Not that I've tried and tested, some lunatic probably has, to be able to come up with that statement. But I digress. We're back in the forest. We've probably got about another 2 hours of walking to do. And at some point soon we should come across Giant Gate Falls. So hopefully you can rejoin me then. Welcome to Giant Gates Falls. Hopefully you can hear it in the background. It's quite an impressive fall. Loads of water, just a big torrent coming over the side of the cliff, plunging into a deep turquoise colour plunge pool. And all that water is then flowing off underneath where I'm standing. I'm standing on a Kiwi engineered swing bridge. This is basically a few bits of old timber, some chicken wire and some stronger bits of steel that sways quite heavily when you go from side to side. Whoa, like that. I've got a belly full of scroggin. I've got my waterproof coat on. Ow! I just got bit on the forehead by a sandfly. This is classic Fjordland. We've probably only got about an hour and 45 minutes left of our walk, and this is quite a nice place where we've stopped for lunch. There is a little shelter so we can get out of the rain, but I thought I'd just come up here onto this swing bridge to kind of let you know what this place was like. It's quite hard to take a photo because my camera's getting soaked, but it's just like an opening in the forest, and I'm sure you can hear the sound of the water rushing off the side of the cliff. And the colours are amazing. We've got these kind of light and dark greens all around in the forest. We've got the kind of turquoise colours in the water, really, really clear water. It's probably about at least 5 meters deep underneath this bridge. You can see all the way to the bottom. And there's browns down there with the seaweeds, the algae on the rocks. The clouds up above are pretty grey, but there's a kerroo, there's a New Zealand pigeon up in the tree above me, and it's got a nice flash of purpley green on him. We've got about an hour and 45 minutes left of our walk, and then we'll be at the boat, and that'll be it for the Milford Track. So after 4 days and 53.5 kilometres, we finally finished the Milford Track. That last part of our journey involved getting on board a boat and crossing over the Milford Sound. That's the big fjord at the top of the Milford Track. It took about 20 minutes on board the boat, passing through the mist, passing a big waterfall as well as we arrived at Milford Sound town. Thankfully we managed to get on board a bus straight away, and the hour and a half, 2 hour journey back to Turnhour Downs, and that road itself, the Milford Road, is pretty amazing. The first half of that journey was just shrouded in massive waterfalls and mountains and like avalanches and glaciers. It was a pretty amazing road. About halfway down we were quite lucky to be able to get through, because a few weeks earlier a huge rockfall of about 200 tons worth of rock, they estimated, had slipped onto the road, and actually people had been stuck up there for a while. But thankfully we could get all the way through and get back to Turnhour Downs, where we got that boat from 4 days ago. And now we're back in Turnhour itself, sitting in the van, warming up, looking forward to a nice dinner, spaghetti bolognese to celebrate the finest walk in the world. Kate, how do you feel right now?
Feeling pretty good.
Are you feeling tired at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
And what was your favourite part of the track?
Probably up at the very top at McKinnon Point.
Yes, McKinnon Point. Why was that your favourite place?
The views, I think.
There you go. We're both pretty tired. It's been a long 4 days. It was pretty outstanding, the views in the Glacial Valley as well as the views up at McKinnon Point, as Kate's quite so eloquently said. But yeah, it's been a good 4 days. A lot more expensive than we'd first imagined for just doing a walk, but definitely worthwhile. If anyone's coming to New Zealand, you definitely have to do the Milford Track.